Hey there everyone, it's me, Alex from VG247. It is I, your boy, as they say. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is Anthem, which is, of course, the new game from BioWare and EA, so, of course, the lineage here is pretty strong. You've got Mass Effect, you've got Dragon Age, you've got Knights of the Old Republic, you've got Jade Empire, and now this is the new property, the new franchise, the new series from the guys at BioWare, and actually, crucially, this is lineage from, when push comes to shove, this is lineage from Mass Effect. So, after completing the Mass Effect trilogy, BioWare put together a new team, a secondary team, built out of the people who did the multiplayer for Mass Effect, who went on to make Mass Effect Andromeda, and for other reasons related to Andromeda, that team, of course, no longer exists. But the original Mass Effect team that made that trilogy went on to make this, Anthem, and it's been a long time coming. They've been working on it since then, and this is the end result. So if you don't know much about Anthem, the quick top-line stuff before I get into impressions, it is a 4-player cooperative loot RPG shooter. So think Destiny, think, you know, to an extent think something like Borderlands, or, you know, to an extent think something like Monster Hunter also. Like if you recently played Monster Hunter World, it's that same sort of structure where you have a sort of hub zone, and then you party up with friends or go out alone and take on missions, go on hunts, etc, etc, etc. Now the big unique selling point of Anthem really is actually not so much that it's a BioWare game, because a lot of the things you associate with BioWare, like party members that you interact with and can have relationships with and stuff like that, aren't in this game. Really, it is far more about the combat and about the design of the game. It's not really, it's got some of that BioWare stuff, it's got some really in-depth lore and story stuff. I was picking up in this hands-on codex entries that were giving me really detailed information on how the world of Anthem works. And the funny thing is, actually, the more I see of the lore of this world, the more I feel like this could have been a Mass Effect game if they'd wanted it to be, but obviously, as in could have been in the Mass Effect universe, but they obviously wanted to do something new. But it definitely could have been set, if you're a Mass Effect fan, this definitely could have been set on a random non-spacefaring planet in the Mass Effect universe, especially because there's like you know, mysterious forefather race who created crazy technology that powers the main selling point of the game, to come back round full circle, which is the mechs, or the javelins as they call them. And basically these fall into 4 different classes. The classes, basically, they have unique names for Anthem, but they basically boil down as a tank, which is a big-ass one, a sort of space wizard who can hover and stuff like that in a different way, and sort of the space wizard looks magical, straight up. One class which is like your speedy, sort of specialist style class, it's called Interceptor, and it's got like melee moves, and it's really fast, but also a bit more squishy than the other classes. And then your all-around one, which of course is a soldier. And like I say, they have names like Ranger and Colossus and Interceptor and stuff like that. But the point is, they fit into the 4 classes that everybody will be familiar with from RPGs. It's like, yes, here's your mage, here's your tank, here's your ranger, and here's your soldier or warrior. So they totally fit into those classes. But basically, these mechs are like, it's like being in one of Tony Stark's Iron Man suits. And I think, actually, I wonder if Anthem would have existed had the Marvel Cinematic Universe not been huge, and they hadn't had those Iron Man suits as depicted in the films as a touchstone, because they sort of look and feel and move and animate in a very similar way, albeit they're not as slick and smooth because they are bulkier, cobbled together technology. So yeah, they are really the unique selling points. So whereas in previous BioWare games you were picking a character and giving them a first name while they had a set surname and all that sort of stuff, your character in this is just known as Freelancer. The only real choices you make is you pick between a male voice and a female voice when you start the game, but also you actually pick a character face, although that is from pictures, so you're not in a character creator. It's like, here's, I don't know, 20 pictures of different character faces. I'm not sure if it's actually 20, so don't quote me on that. But here's a bunch of pictures of character faces, and pick one, and then that's how your Anthem character is gonna look. But the stuff that's outside of the suit takes place in first person, so you never see that character anyway. So yeah, that's where we're at. You see what I mean? The real customization happens around the suit. So, you know, when you're in the suit, it's in third person, and you can customize pretty much everything about the suit. So colors and suit parts, you can unlock new suit parts. And this is a loot game, so you're always unlocking new weapons, new armor parts, new mods that can be attached to your suit to change the way that you play. And that's really where that and leveling up are really where the RPG edge of this comes in. In real terms, and I said this in a previous Anthem video after playing the game at E3, this game feels most similar to Mass Effect multiplayer. It's got that same sort of combo system where if one member of the party does one elemental attack and then the other member of the party does another elemental attack, the two will combo together to cause more damage based on how those elements interact. That's a really big part of this game. But also, like I say, it's got that sort of Destiny structure. Very much that sort of thing of you enter a zone, there's some enemies to fight, maybe there's a puzzle while you fight enemies, or once the enemies are defeated, you've got to find something and return it to a specific position. It's very much familiar to that sort of 4-player co-op gameplay that you'll all be really, really familiar with. And that's where I'm sort of torn on Anthem, if I'm honest with you. So, for people who haven't watched the video, and you can obviously go back and watch the video that I did at E3, or you can read the write-up I did, which is way more detailed on VG247.com, back at E3 last year in June 2018. And there I said, when I saw Mass Effect at the EA press conference or media briefing or whatever you want to call it, I was confused. I was like, as a huge BioWare fan, I was confused because I was sort of left kind of cold. Like, on paper, everything that I saw should be something that I'd like, but when I actually did see it, I was just like, okay, sure thing, whatever. And then I played it, and when I played it at Nvidia's booth, where they were using it to showcase their new graphics cards and stuff, I was blown away just by how good the mechs feel to pilot, and how you can switch from flying to gliding to hovering really, really quickly, to shooting back and forth. You have to manage the temperature of your jump jets. So your jump jets aren't limited in the sense that you run out of fuel or anything, but they do overheat, and when they overheat, you'll be brought down to the ground. And that's not just a concern of how long you can fly, because you can do stuff like fly underwater or fly through waterfalls to cool your engines off. But you'll also have enemies with fire element attacks, and when you get hit with those attacks, that of course increases your temperature, which might make it impossible for you to fly away if things get dicey, and all that stuff's really, really, really cool. And it just all felt really good. It was one of those games where once I played it, I was like, oh, I get why they've done this game this way now, because it just feels special when you play it. Now, I got to play it for an extended period, and I can't talk about all of that just yet, so as a bit of a heads up, if you come back to the channel on the 1st of February, you will find that we've got some more videos, and that video, intriguingly, will be of end game content. So EA and BioWare basically let us play 2 ends of this game at the event. So we got to play the opening, and what you're seeing now is footage from opening events and opening customization, footage from early on in the game. But then also, we got to play some end game content where they leveled us up to level 30, which is the level cap for the launch version of the game. And then we got to customize our javelins and go into a really, really high-end piece of end game content. And that was really interesting in a whole different way. But I'm still left torn. It's one of those weird things. The analogy I used at the preview event, as sloppy as this analogy is it's like a really beautiful, perfect cut of steak. It's the really nice cut of prime beef that has then just been prepared in not quite the right way, or it hasn't been seasoned right, so it's like the flavour isn't where you need it to be. And I know that's a really sloppy analogy, but I really feel like from my experience of Anthem so far, it rings true, where I look at it and it's gorgeous and it runs brilliantly, And on that note, I should say this was the PC version running at 1080p on a Nvidia RTX 2080 Ti, which is a hugely powerful graphics card. So I would expect it to run well at 1080 on that. Hopefully it runs well, you know, on lesser graphics cards or on higher resolutions. But yeah, it looks great, feels great to play. The combat loop is really fun. But something about the way it just all gels together, something about the game that holds it together just isn't really grabbing me so far and saying this is a game you're going to sink 50, 60, 70, 100 hours into, which is what BioWare want. You know, they were really happy, and I was really happy to. They were really happy to show, and I was really happy to see some of the cutscenes and see that they're beautifully animated and see that there does appear to be a really deep, interesting lore. But I'm still slightly iffy on just who this is going to please, in the sense that I still don't feel like there's enough lore there to please the hardcore BioWare fans. And I think things like, you know, not being able to see your character outside the mech and all that sort of stuff is inherently less attractive to the people who loved the really, really story-driven experiences in things like Mass Effect. And I'm not saying BioWare have to make the same sort of game all the time. Obviously, they're entitled to make different things, and I think it's really cool that they are doing that. But I'm just very aware of what BioWare fans might want. But then also, you've just got this situation where I feel you've got those people who won't necessarily be fully dragged in. And then I'm not sure what this is offering over Destiny or The Division. And even playing this content so far, it doesn't feel entirely clear what that answer is. So yeah, colour me intrigued and interested, and there's a lot more I want to say right now that I can't say until we get to the embargo for the end game content. And I will say, sneak preview, spoiler for that, I do think that when you see the end game content, the game becomes a lot more exciting. But as yet, I can't wait to get stuck into the sort of beta test that's coming and get stuck into the final game even, to just sort of try and get a better idea for what this is. Because while it all looks really high quality, I'm just not sure what that X factor is yet. And I really hope this game has it, because, as I said, I'm a really big fan of everything that BioWare's done. And when I say I can see the lineage from Mass Effect multiplayer, I mean that as a sincere compliment, because I spent so many hours on the multiplayer in the third Mass Effect game. So many hours. I loved that multiplayer. And if this can give me that experience in a more multiplayer geared environment where there's, you know, better progression and stuff like that, then I think I'll be well into it. But I just, so far, intrigued, definitely think it's high quality, but waiting for that special something about the game to blow me down. So yeah, that is Anthem. Check back next week when we'll have a bit more, and keep checking back anyway. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, that stuff helps us, but also we'll have loads more Anthem when the game launches and as the game comes out, and you can expect more from us on this channel. There's a load of Resident Evil and Kingdom Hearts stuff on the way, already out, so yeah, definitely stick around. Until next time everyone, see ya.